Hi, Josh Raw from Dell Storage Product Planning here to discuss with you an exciting new VMware integration with Dell Compellent Storage. This new integration is named Dell Compellent Solution Pack for VMware vCenter Operations Manager, or VCOps for short. On the agenda, we will briefly discuss what vCenter Operations Manager is, what the architecture of vCenter Operations Manager solution is, what compellent metrics are collected, the multiple vCenter Operations Manager user interfaces, requirements for deploying the adapter, and in the demo portion we'll cover how to deploy the Compellent vCOps Solution Pack, configuring the Compellent adapter, using the Dell Compellent Dashboards, and lastly, troubleshooting the adapter installation. vCenter Operations Manager is a VMware tool deployed as a vApp containing a minimum of one Web UI VM and one Analytic VM. For larger environments, VMware scales out the number of VMs in the vApp. Unlike traditional monitoring tools that are threshold-based, vCOps learns how your environment typically operates and displays what may be above or below normal in the environment. Typically, it takes about 30 days of collecting data for vCOps to really start providing good value. For instance, every night when your backups kick off, it may increase load on your VMs and storage infrastructure, which may trip thresholds of normal monitoring tools, resulting in alerts. With vCenter Operations Manager, it learns that during the backup, the usage of the VM goes up, and this is normal behavior because it sees this every day. Likewise, if a typical VM has a workload of 100 to 300 IOPS average per day, and it increases to 700 IOPS sustained, it would see this as abnormal behavior and start decreasing its health status in vCenter Operations Manager. So, as you can imagine, the longer vCOps runs in your environment, the better it gets at learning how your environment operates. For instance, perhaps you have a monthly scheduled report that generates a lot of load on a bunch of virtual machines. The first couple times this runs, it may see this as abnormal behavior and degrade the status of those virtual machines. But as this runs in time, it sees that this is normal behavior because it sees this scheduled report running every month and the workload increasing on those, and it marks that as normal behavior within your environment. vCenter Operations Manager comes in 4 versions: Foundation, Standard, Advanced, and Enterprise. Only Advanced and Enterprise versions have support for third-party adapters, such as the Compellent adapter. The Compellent adapter is supported in vCOps 5.7 and above. At the time of this recording, vCenter Operations Manager 5.8 has not been released, but it's just on the horizon. For more information on vCenter Operations Manager and the different versions, I suggest checking it out on VMware's website. VMware vCenter Operations Manager can collect data from multiple sources. Typically, customers would configure vCOps to collect data from vCenter. We're going to focus on the Compellent adapter. The Compellent vCOps adapter is deployed to the Analytic virtual machine. Then it is configured to gather information from the Dell Compellent Enterprise Manager data collector. By default, the data collector listens on port 3033, but this can be changed. The Compellent adapter pulls information from Enterprise Manager every 5 minutes. It's important to note that vCOps is not a real-time monitoring tool, rather more a statistical tool. Data could be delayed as EM pulls from storage centers to get the information, as well as vCOps pulls from Enterprise Manager, so data could be delayed in flowing into vCenter Operations Manager up to 10 minutes in your environment. The Compellent vCOps adapter collects the following metrics from Enterprise Manager. It collects metrics on the entire array, you see the metrics there, as well as on each individual controller within the system, the server objects, the disk tiers, the front-end and back-end ports, and volume levels. Each one has maybe some different metrics that are being collected. These were chosen as it is believed that with this information we had enough information to distinguish if there's a storage issue or not within the environment. Not listed here is we also collect alerts from the environment as well, and we'll see that when we get into the demo. If you believe a metric is valuable to vCops and is not listed here, please let me know. vCenter Operations Manager currently has 3 web-based interfaces. The admin UI is used to deploy updates and adapters to vCenter Operations Manager. This is accessed by going to vCops IP or DNS name with the /admin on the back of it, which brings up the admin UI. The standard user interface contains VMware-only information and can be accessed directly to its IP or DNS name without a /. The custom UI, which is extensible to third parties such as the Compellent Solution Pack, can be accessed with a /vCops-custom. We'll be spending most of our time in the demo in the custom UI today. We'll cover each of these UIs in the demo here shortly. We will be deploying the Dell Compellent adapter using the admin UI. Like we stated earlier, the requirement for vCops is 5.7 or above, and it has to be advanced or enterprise version of vCenter Operations Manager. Once the adapter is deployed, we'll switch over to the custom UI to perform the adapter configuration. The requirement for Enterprise Manager is version 6.4 and above, and you need a EM user and password configured for the array with the arrays you want available in vCenter Operations Manager. We will now switch over to the vCops admin interface. This can be accessed, like I say, with the /admin on the vCops DNS name or IP address that you're going to here. You log into the admin interface with your user credentials, or admin user, which brings you into the registration. So this is where you initially set up vCenter Operations Manager. To deploy the Compellent adapter, we'll select the Updates tab. From here, you browse to where you downloaded the pack file for vCenter Operations Manager Solution Pack for Dell Compellent. So you click Browse there, select your adapter's location, select Open. Next, you click Update. We already have the adapter deployed in this environment, so we won't deploy it again. But once you click Update, it goes out there and installs the solution pack into the environment. After the adapter is deployed, you will more likely have to restart your vCenter Operations Manager for it to pick up the change. You can do this from the status page. Just click Restart here, and vCops will be restarted in that environment. Once restarted, you may now log into the custom UI for us to configure the adapter. So you go to your DNS name /vCops-custom, enter your user credentials to log in there, which brings you to here. So to configure the adapter, which we see we've already have it configured here, but to configure a new adapter, select the Environment tab, select Configuration and Adapter Instances. From the adapter instances, to deploy a new adapter, we would click the Add New Adapter Instance. From here, you select which collector you want to use, which is the vCops standard here, and what adapter you want to use. In this instance, we'll select Dell Compellent Adapter. Then you give your adapter instance a name. So I can give it any name I want. I'm going to name it on the whatever enterprise manager I'm going to go against with this one. I'll name it EM1. Next, you enter your enterprise manager hostname or IP address in here. By default, the enterprise manager data collector listens on port 3033. If you change this in your enterprise manager installation, you will have to change this port. By default, we default to 3033 here. Next up, if you purchased the vCenter Operations Manager adapter, you'd enter your product key and confirmation code in here to be able to. Without these being accessed, the adapter will continue working through its trial period, which is 60 days. Next up is adding your credentials. Now that we've got the Enterprise Manager user in there and port in there, we need to add the credentials to be able to communicate with Enterprise Manager. To do so, you just click Add here and select the Dell Compellent Adapter credentials. Enter an instance name for this credential so you can tie them together. We'll just call that EM1, and you put in your username and password here and click OK. We've already got one created, so we'll go ahead and jump over to that adapter that's already set up. It has the same information in there. This will go out and validate all the settings are correct in the environment. It says test was successful, so we should be ready to go. We can go ahead and click OK. And at this point in time, the adapter should start collecting data from Enterprise Manager. This may take a while, like we said, to get data pulled in and normalize the data. Next, we'll discuss using the Dell Compellent Dashboards that are installed with the Solution Pack. By default, there's 5 dashboards that are automatically created when the adapter is installed. The Compellent Storage at a Glance, the Volume Top-End Reports, the VMware Relationship, the Compellent Storage Metrics, and the Compellent Top-End Report. You can access these dashboards under Dell Compellent here to bring them up any point in the adapter. Let's start out with the Compellent Storage at a Glance. From this dashboard, if you look in the upper left-hand corner here, it lists all the arrays associated with the EM user used to connect to the adapter. From here, you can add metrics in here such as health, total I/O, kilobytes, whatever these metrics are selected here by easily configuring this adapter. If you select the Edit Widget button here, you see that this is where we configure the dashboard. If I want to add more metrics to this column, I can select Add Remove, and I select the metrics I want to see about that. So if I select from Controller here, or from the Storage Center, I select which metrics here I want to see. For instance, if I want total throughput, I'd select that one and add it to my metric. And click OK, and they'll show up in that dashboard. So on and so forth with each widget we've got added here. So this is automatically populating things. So if I select Storage Center 12, for instance, it'll pull up these selected controllers as well as the disk tiers associated with that particular array. We'll drill into Storage Center 5 here, as it looks like its health has been degraded. So we'll go figure out why that is. So for my array health, it's been degraded here. It looks like my controllers and storage arrays are in pretty good condition. But if I go and look at my health tree here, I see my array is degraded, and I have a volume down here that is degraded, and health is 46 too. So we'll just go ahead and select on that particular volume here, and this automatically populates the metric spark lines up here above, which we can go out and see what is out of the normal for this particular volume. If we see its write latency is above its normal threshold, its read I/O is above, total I/O, so on and so forth. So I know this volume, there's something wrong with it. Let's go ahead and jump into the next dashboard here, and we'll come back to this volume here in a minute as well. We'll go ahead and troubleshoot that as well. So if we select the volume top-end reports here, this dashboard will pull the information, default dashboard here, picking up the top 25 volumes with total I/Os per second. This is configurable as well. Currently, you can set it to what your period of information you want to pull is here. So for the last hour, I can see what volume's doing the most I/O. I can set it to last 24 hours and see who's done the most I/O in the last 24 hours. the last week, last 90 days, so on and so forth on that. Likewise, if I select one of these, it will go and graph it in this selection. Likewise, for write I/O per second, I can see that this one has done the most write I/O per second, so on and so forth for each of these. So replay space, capacity-wise, read I/Os per second, so on and so forth. If there's more that you want added to this at any time, it can be easily done by editing this dashboard and adding additional widgets to it. Let's move to the Compellent and VMware relationship dashboard here. This is combining both Compellent objects with VMware objects, so you can see how the relationship between them work. For instance, let's select this data store that we see is degraded in health, so its badge is degraded. If we select that, that will select what compellent volume it's associated with. So we see from here that it's this particular volume. You also see the virtual machines that are associated with that data store as well. So we've got a few virtual machines on here on that particular data store that are degraded in health as well. We select the virtual machine, which will also populate the data stores associated with it and browse through the tree. So we select that data store, we select our compellent volume associated, we see which storage center that's related on. And from that compellent storage at a glance, we noticed before that SC5 had a health issue on its infra util data store, which is related to this compellent volume. So you see the relationship there. If we go and select that particular volume, this automatically populates this graph, which shows you what's above normal. So you see in this gray bar here, this is normal behavior, and this data store is going well above normal behavior. So I'm going to start troubleshooting the virtual machines associated with this particular volume to see what's out of the normal in my environment to go at. So I'm going to target this Nitro and TSUtil here as well. See what's happening. Next up for this dashboards is the Compellent storage metrics. Likewise in this one, you can select which storage array you want to look at and capture data from. So we'll go ahead and pick on Storage Center 5 here again. We'll select that. And then from the health tree, I select which resource I want to get more information for. So I can go select the one that I'm having issues for. And I scroll under volume here, and now I pull up what do I want to see in my graph here. I want to see total I/O and total throughput, which is another way of going about the same information that we've seen before, just in an easier way of doing it. So I can easily jump between storage center to storage center, select which resources I want to get more information on, and populate those in the graph to be able to inspect them more. The Compellent Port Top N dashboard, like the volume top end report, pulls all the front end ports and back end ports. Actually, it just targets the front end ports of the array to see who's doing the most utilization. And likewise, these can also be configured of what time frame you want to be able to pull that. So I can see how well my ports are being load balanced between maybe all my I/O is flowing through a particular port. I may want to think about spreading my workload around a little bit better here. Likewise with this, you can also see the graph on it when you select the resource that you want to see. So with that, we'll go ahead and jump into if I want to create additional dashboards in here as well. I've got a couple different options. If I like one of these dashboards, I can start using this dashboard and clone it to a new dashboard and then start editing from there. Or I can simply just create a new dashboard by selecting the new dashboard button here. And we'll select what we want to drag and drop and to be able to see in this. So we're going to bring up a resource selector because we want to be able to select what resources we're going to graph on. And then we'll select also the metric graph here to keep it simple. Give it a name for this tab, and we'll mark it Demo. And I can also change my layout. For instance, if I want 1 column, 2 columns, or 3 columns. We'll just leave it in 2 columns here and click OK. From here, it will automatically populate all resources in the system here. We don't want to see everything, so let's go ahead and filter this down to just what we want to see. So we'll target our storage centers here. So from here, if I want to pull up a list of all storage centers, I've got a couple different options. I can either go under resource kinds and select my Compellent storage center here, which if I select all attributes here, will pull all storage centers into it. If I just want to see a certain amount of storage centers here as well, I can go down to list and go to Compellent Storage Center, and I can add just individual storage centers in here. So for instance, if I wanted to put together a dashboard that contains a particular application that runs on a storage center and I want to see its volumes and stuff, I can create a custom dashboard that contains that entire application, and I see everything about that. So we'll keep it simple here. We'll just select from the resource kinds all the Compellent storage centers in here and click OK. Well, this populates the storage centers associated with this. So now that we've got this in here, let's go ahead and we'll expand this out a little further so we can see. We're going to go to the Interactions button here and select Interaction, and we're going to select a Providing widget to pull information into the metrics graph here. Since we only have one, we'll select the resources there and click OK. Now when I select a resource from here, it should populate the metrics graph with the information from that resource. So on and so forth here. So that's as easy as it is to create a dashboard. So feel free to play around and create your own dashboards that suit your needs. Alright, let's go back to our troubleshooting here as well. So let's go back to the Compellent and VMware relationship here. And we know that we had some virtual machines that are having some problems. We've got some red here. Storage center wise, we see that this data store is degraded. We know what virtual machines are associated with it, with those particular ones. So from here we can also select them. So I can select Nitro. I can get information about Nitro here in the graphs. I can get information about this virtual machine, TSUtil. Select that, get graphs about him, see what anomalies are happening here. Definitely some issues with these two virtual machines. It looks like Nitro is due to latency, and this one, all of its resources are going up on it. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at that virtual machine here. Go ahead and pull it up. Log in into one of my virtual machines here. It's suffering some issues. Oh, and it looks like somebody left Iometer running in this environment. That might be the source of my issue there. So I'll go ahead and stop Iometer on that. And after some time here, my health state should go back to good within that environment. Think of this as a rogue application or something else that I was having with that virtual machine. By using vCops, I was able to get down to where my issue lies, what virtual machines are associated with that issue, and stuff using just using the dashboards here within the vCenter Operations Manager dashboard. Let's move into troubleshooting. So now that we've got our adapter deployed and it's collecting data in our environment, how do we troubleshoot issues with the adapter? So if there's issues arise or the adapter is not collecting information, there's a few things to go about. One is maybe the Enterprise Manager user credentials changed. Verify that those are correct, and we can do that by going back into the environment, advanced, or configuration, adapter instances there, and we can select our adapter instance and select edit, and at any time go out and test this. So click test there, it'll go out and validate that it can connect. So maybe the port changed, maybe the Enterprise Manager IP address changed, or the credentials somehow changed within that environment. This can all be tested just by going to this thing and clicking test and make sure it's successful before proceeding. In addition, so if the problem's a little more major than that, we can also get log files that will help us get down to what the cause of the problem is. To get to the log files, you can select the admin here and then select support. This pulls up information about vCenter Operations Manager, its health itself, what the different layers are, and so on and so forth. We select the Log Files tab here. You can go under vCenter Operations Collector here and go under Adapters. You'll see the Dell Storage Adapter here. You can view its log content and look for issues here as well. These can also be downloaded to a support bundle, so I can create a support bundle to send to VMware or to us to be able to see. One thing that you might want to do if you're having issues prior to just generating this would be select the vCenter Operations Collector here and change its log status to debug. So from here, you select that and select the edit, and then you can change this to debug, which will give us more verbose information on what's wrong in the environment. Let it run for a while, make sure you recause the issue, then you can download the log file or view it here to get that information. I highly recommend after your issue is over, setting this log level back to air. Otherwise it is very verbose and your logs will fill up quite quickly. Another helpful thing is you can select the Info tab here. From the Info tab you can see what adapters are installed as well as what the adapter versions are. So a customer might be using an old adapter and we might recommend updating to a newer one if the adapter version is old. And that concludes our vCenter Operations Manager session for today. If you do have any further questions, please feel free to email me at josh_raw@dell.com. Thank you.